श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Hare Krishna. Panduranga Prabhu's ID you have to check. Zoom. Let's start with the prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadhi Pashatya Deshatarine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So one second. The system got stuck. One second, I'll just. So Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 20th verse. So this chapter is called confidential knowledge, most confidential knowledge. Traividya Mam Soma Pa Puta Papa Traividya Mam Soma Pa Puta Papa
Traividya Mam Soma Papa
Traividya Mam Soma Pa Puta Papa
Traividya Mam Soma Pa Puta Papa
Yagnerishtva Swargatim Prarthayanti
Yagnerishtva Swargatim Prarthayante
Yagnerishtva Swargatim Prarthayanti
Yagnerishtva Swargatim Ganta
Te Punyamasadya Surendra Lokam
Te Punyamasadya Surendra Lokam
Ashnati Divyan Divideva Bhogan
Ashnanti Divyan Divideva Bhogan
Ashnati Divyan Divideva Bhogan
Ashnanti Divyan Divideva Bhogan
Traividyama Soma Puta Papa
Traividyamam Soma Paputa Papa
Yagnerishtva Swargatim Prarthayante
Yagnerishtva Swargatim Parthayante
Te Punyamasadya Surendra Lokam
Te Punyamasadya Surendra Lokam
Ashnati Divyan Divideva Bhogan
Ashnanti Divyan Divideva Bhogan Traividyamam Soma Paputa Papa
Traividyamam Soma Paputa Papa
Yagnerishtva Swargatim Prarthayante
Yagnerishtva Swargatim Prarthayante
Te Punyamasadya Surendra Lokam
Te Punyasadya Surendra Lokam
Ashnanti Divyan Divideva Bhogan
Ashnati Divyan Divideva Bhogan Traividyamam Soma Paputa Papa Yagnerishtva Swargatim Prarthayante te punyamasādhya surendralokam ashnāti divyān divideva bhogan.
Trividya mama soma paha puta papa
Traividya mam soma paputa papa
Yagnairistva swargatim prarthayante
Yagnerishtva swargatim prarthayante
Te punyamasadya surendra lokam
Te punyamasādhya surendra lokam
Ashnati divyan divi deva bhogan
Ashnāti divyān divideva bhogan.
Trividya mam somapa putha papa
Traividya mam soma paputa papa
Yagnerisva swargatim prarthayante
Yagnerishtva swagatim patayante
Te punyam asadya surendra logam
Te punyamasādhya surendra lokam
Asnanti divya divideva bhogan.
Ashnāti divyān divideva bhogan. So we'll read word to word meaning. Trividyaha,
Trividyaha
the knower of the three Vedas.
The goal of the three Vedas.
Mam,
Mam,
unto me.
unto me.
Somapaha,
Somapaha,
drinkers of soma juice.
drinkers of the Soma juice.
Puta,
Puta,
purified.
purified.
Papaha,
Papaha,
sins.
sins.
Yagnehi,
Yagnehe,
with sacrifice.
with sacrifices.
Istva,
Istva,
after worshipping.
after worshipping.
Swargatim,
Swargatim,
passage to heaven.
passage to heaven.
Prarthayante,
Prarthayante,
prayer.
prayer.
Te,
Te,
de,
de,
punyam,
punyam,
virtue.
virtue.
Asadhya,
Asadhya,
enjoying.
enjoying.
Surendra,
Surendra,
of Indra.
of Indra.
Lokam,
Lokam,
word.
world.
Ashnati,
Ashnanti,
enjoy.
enjoy.
Divyan,
Divyan,
celestial.
celestial.
Divi,
Divi,
in heaven.
in heaven.
Deva Bhogan,
Deva Bhogan,
pleasure of the gods.
pleasures of the gods.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. They take birth on the planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Translation with repetition. Those who study the Vedas
Those who study the Vedas
and drink the Soma juice,
and drink the Soma juice,
seeking the heavenly planets,
seeking the heavenly planets,
worship me indirectly.
worship me indirectly.
They take birth
They take birth
on the planet of Indra,
on the planet of Indra,
where they enjoy
where they enjoy
godly delights.
godly delights.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. One second. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Traividyaha refers to the three Vedas, Sama, Yajur and Rig. A Brahmana who has studied these three Vedas is called Trivedi. Anyone who is very much attached to knowledge derived from these three Vedas is respected in society. Unfortunately, there are many great scholars of the Vedas who do not know the ultimate purport of studying them. Therefore, Krishna herein declares himself to be the ultimate goal for the three Vedis. Actual three Vedis take shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and engage in pure devotional service to satisfy the Lord. Devotional service begins with the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and, side by side, trying to understand Krishna in truth. Unfortunately, those who are simply official students of the Vedas become more interested in offering sacrifice to the different demigods like Indra, Chandra, etc. By such endeavor, the worshippers of different demigods are certainly purified of the contamination of the lower qualities of nature. and are thereby elevated to the higher planetary system or heavenly planets known as Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, etc. Once situated on those higher planetary system, one can satisfy his senses hundreds of thousands of times better than on this planet. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shvasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So we'll follow the same system what Prabhu follows. So this verse is spoken by Krishna, right, to Arjuna. And let me explain the verse. So here, the first verse is the first line of the verse. Traividya mam somapa puta papa. So here, Traividya is referring to the knower of three Vedas, like Sama, Yajur, and Rig. So usually in northern India, there's a caste people, they call us as Trivedi, Chaturvedi. Means they are the knower, means they have studied three Vedas or four Vedas. So that's the reason it's called Traivedya. Mam is referring to Krishna. So here Somapa is a special beverage, and which is found in, not in this material world, it is found in the spiritual, not spiritual, in the heavenly planets. Is a special beverage. When somebody drinks that, he is purified. On the contrary, in this material world, we also find many beverages like sparkling water, liquor, and if you drink that, you are intoxicated and you commit sinful activities. But this beverage, Somapa, which is available in the heavenly planet, if someone drinks that, or the residents of higher planetary system drinks that, they are purified from sins. That's the reason the word used here is Puta Papa. Puta Papa. Puta Papa means purified of sins. The next verse. Yagner istva swagatim partayante. So now what is their goal of these three Vedas, or who is studying the Vedas? Here they usually pray. And what is their prayer? Is to elevate themselves to the higher planets. Like Swargatim is like a passage. Means they want to know, means they want to go, there is a destination which they want to reach after death. And that is explained here is like Swargatim, or is going to heavenly planet. And whatever the activities they do, like yagna, like you'll see, many times people do some homas, some yagnas. And that phala, their result they want is that they want to go to heavenly planet or higher planetary system. And next it talks about like te punyam asadhya surendra lokam. And that heavenly planet is huge. It's not just small one location. It's high. It's like big. And the duration of life there is 10,000 years. Here we are limited with 100 years. And there's no tribulations like what we have in this material world. And at last, Ashnati Divyan Divideva Bhogan. So here the word Deva Bhogan is very nicely translated by Prabhupada in the purport or in the lecture. Deva Bhogan refers to standard of living. Usually we see in the developed countries like America, European countries, the standard of living is very high with comparison to lower some underdeveloped countries like some other countries. There the standard of living is not up to the standard of living in America, European countries. So here Deva Bhogan refers to standard of living. So here the word Deva Bhogan is referring to standard of living. Yeah, you can call Panduranga Prabhu. Yeah, the Deva Bhogan is referring to the standard of living. Uh, those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. They take birth on the planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. So, previously, Prabhupada had talked about 2 3 verses like 9.14, 9.15 in the Bhagavad Gita, where there is a talk about transcendentalist. Krishna brings that point where he says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So, this transcendentalist or the devotees, they are 24 hours engaged in the service of the Lord, and this they are engaged in devotional service. And with what intensity? Constantly, with great determination. And the rest, next, Krishna is bringing the point of he's bringing the other type of transcendentalist. They are called as second class transcendentalist, and they are also engaged in service of the Lord, but indirectly. They are thinking that I am also the same as the Supreme. So their understanding is like merging into the Supreme Brahman. But that understanding is further refuted by Krishna. It's like I can give example of a ocean of water, and they think that I'll merge in that ocean of water. But Vaishnava Acharyas, they give different understanding that we are infinitesimal living entities, whereas the Supreme Lord is the means we are the minute living entities, and Supreme Lord is the infinitesimal living entity. It's just like a vast body of ocean, and we are just like a drop of ocean. So here, the word Trivedya refers to the 3 Vedas, Sama, Yajur and Rig. So this Vedas, how do we understand the Vedas? This is very nicely explained in Bhagavatam. This Vedas, an epic, philosophical and literary classic. It's a epic and philosophical literary classic. Holds a prominent position in India's voluminous Vedic wisdom. The timeless wisdom of India is expressed in the Vedas. Is like a form of ancient Sanskrit text that teaches upon all fields of human knowledge. So Vedas talk about all the fields of human knowledge. It may be archery, it's called as Dhanur Veda. There's called health wise, like keeping our body fit. It's called Ayurveda. So it touches all department of knowledge. Even this there's a surgery department also in Vedas where they remove the ironment. It's called chakshusha. It's something they call it as. It's called as a chakshusha. They remove the blurriness of the eyes. In fact, the skin surgery they do by removing the top this portion of the skin, and they paste it over here. So Vedas deal with all fields of human knowledge. And how this is preserved? Originally preserved through oral tradition. So the Vedas were preserved by oral traditions. There was recitation of the slokas. Like you will find around 500 years back or 300 years back, students in Gurukulas, they will be chanting with a particular meter. Om Dachayo Ravani Mae. So there's a meter, and in that tradition they used to learn. And gradually Vyasdev, because at the beginning of Kali Yuga, Vyasdev is called as Trikal Agnya. He can understand past, present and future. And seeing the degradation or deterioration of the present age, Kali Yuga, he thought of noting down, or he thought of writing all the keeping a record of all the Vedas. So he divided the Vedas into 4 sections: Sama, Yajur, Rig and Atharva Veda, and assigned that each Vedas to particular stage. So that in the Kali Yuga we can understand it even more very elaborately, or we can understand the essence. And after writing so many literatures, he was further guided by his spiritual master Narada Muni. That now you have written so voluminous books, but there's no essence part. So then Vyasdev, under the guidance of Narada Muni, wrote the essence of this all Vedanta Sutra and Vedas, and it's called Srimad Bhagavatam. It's also a voluminous books, but it has the essence of all the Vedas. So here in the purport, Prabhupada writes, the word Trivedya refers to the three Vedas, Sama, Yajur and Rig. A Brahmana who has studied these three Vedas is called Trivedi. Anyone who is very much attached to knowledge derived from these three Vedas is respected in the society. Obviously, the reader of Vedas were the Brahmanas, and they were respected in the society. Unfortunately, there are many great scholars of the Vedas who do not know the ultimate purport of studying them. In fact, Shankaracharya, predominant Acharya in the Mayavadi Shankara philosophy or impersonalism, he was lamenting at his last stage that why are you, many of the impersonalists or the Vedantists, they just focused on the Vedas part. They forgot to focus on the ultimate goal. That is what it is described as Ante Narayana Smriti. So the ultimate goal of life is to remember Narayana or Vishnu. Even Bhagavad Gita brings that point. Antakali cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. So the ultimate goal is to remember the Supreme Lord. So that point was missing. So even that reason he was singing Bhajo Govindam, Bhajo Govindam, Bhajo Govindam Mudamate. So Shankaracharya was constantly guiding his disciples that worship Govinda, or else time is gone. So Bhagavad Gita brings that what is the essence of all Vedas. So there is a verse in 15th chapter, 15th verse. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisto matta smritir jnanam apovanam cha vedescha sarve aham eva vedya vedanta krit vedavit eva chaham. So this verse is talking about Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisto. So I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance. So Lord is seated in everyone's heart. This body is nothing but a matter. It's like even many times last week Prabhu was speaking. This body goes through 6 changes. It takes birth, it grows, it remains for some time, and it starts dwelling. Means it remains for some times and it produces byproduct, and it starts dwelling, and at last it is vanquished. So in reality it's just a matter. And to animate this matter, there's a requirement, and that is what it is mentioned in this verse. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisto. The Supreme Lord is there in everyone, every living entity, and that's the reason it is animating everyone. Just like dead body, how much ever you pinch it, it will not react. You beat him, whatever you do, it will not react. Whereas a living force, a living person, if you pinch him, he'll react. He'll at least feel pain. And Krishna is giving 3 things which comes from him: remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. From me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And further he says, what is the ultimate goal of studying Vedas? Vedescha sarve aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Vedanta krit vedavit eva chaham. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So Krishna is bringing this point very clearly, that of all the Vedas, I am to be known. Even previous verses you'll see that Krishna is bringing his position. Pitaham asya jagato mata. So he's saying that I am the father of all living entities. Mamai vamsha jiva loke means we are the part and parcel of all living entities. Krishna is we are the part of Krishna. And further, it is explained by Acharyas that Vedas, what it leads to. What is the goal of understanding Veda? So there are 3 things which Vedas talk about. Even Chaitanya Charitamrita it describes. It describes about Sambandha Jnana, Abhidya Jnana, and Prayojana. So this Sambandha is simple to understand, like it's establishing our relationship. In this material world, we have forgotten that. We are enamored by this glittering of this material world. So that's the reason Krishna brings out this point. The Sambandha Jnana is most important. It's like we have forgotten that relationship has to be established. It's just like Prabhupada gives many times example of a child who is some son who is lost. He does not know his father is very rich. If somehow or other somebody makes that connection happen, then that son's poverty is gone, is back to his father. No need of suffering for them. So the same way, the Sambandha Jnana has to be established. And then comes Abhidya. This Abhidya is a process. Just like Acharyas, the spiritual master gives some process for everyone. Just like devotees, they have to chant this Harinam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there is some austerity, there is some fixed number of rounds which the Acharyas gives. Like Prabhupada gives 16 rounds to chant all for initiated devotees. Or who wants to progress in spiritual life, there's a process. Like morning, you'll see every monastery, every sect, there's a process. Like they wake up early in the morning, 5, 4, they do some rituals. It's like a discipline process. Just like in army, there's a discipline that every morning they have to wake up and they have to go for some routine work. The same way, the spiritual life also, there is some routine work which has to be done. What happens is once we do that work, it's like we get fixed up, we become strong. Even it is said like when you sweat more in war, when you sweat more in practice, you bleed less in the war. So there's a saying. And the last is the prayojana. Prayojana is like a ultimate goal. What do you achieve? So in Krishna consciousness, we achieve prema, the love of Godhead. That is the highest. This prema is so intrinsic, or it's so important that without any wanting for us something, it's like we are desiring something without our any desire, or it's like without our wanting to do that, we'll do it out of love. Just like mother always take care of her child without any return. There's no profit involved in that. So here purport Prabhupada writes, therefore Krishna herein declares himself to be the ultimate goal for the three Vedas. Actual three Vedas take shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and engage in pure devotional service to satisfy the Lord. So these three Vedas are the knower of the Vedas. If somehow or other, if they get chance to associate with pure devotees, then they can achieve the highest benefit. So here Prabhupada writes, take shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and engage in pure devotional service to satisfy the Lord. And this is only possible when we somehow or other he comes in touch with devotees. Just like Prabhupada gives example in Bhagavatam of Sukdev Goswami. So he came in touch with Vyasadeva. He was associated with Vyasadeva, and that's the reason he became pure devotee. He was immersed in Brahmavadi. He was like Brahmavadi. He was immersed in impersonal realization. But minute or just by chance he came in touch with Vyasadeva, he was completely transformed. Devotional service begins with the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra and side by side trying to understand Krishna in truth. So here Prabhupada mentions that devotional service begins with the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra and side by side trying to understand Krishna in truth. So first step in understanding devotional service or bhakti is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So there are 9 types of devotional service in which Shravanam, hearing and chanting, is the most important. So here the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, in fact in many Acharyas' song, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is like glorified. And even Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this. There's a process in every age. And in Kali Yuga, this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. It's like it is mentioned, iti shodashaka namnam kali kalmasha nashanam and nata paratara upaya sarva vedesha darshyati. After searching out all the Vedic scriptures or understanding all the slokas, they have, acharyas have come to conclusion. And that conclusion is, in this age, we have to chant this holy name of Lord. And further it is mentioned that we have to understand Krishna in truth. Fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is called as transcendental knowledge, where Krishna brings out this point. Janma karma cha me vidivyam evam yo vedi tatvataha tyakta deham punarjanma neti mameti so Arjuna. If at the time of death, if you want to remember Krishna, then you have to remember usually you have to understand Krishna in truth, in reality. And further, it is explained, unfortunately, those who are simply official students of the Vedas become more interested in offering sacrifice to different demigods like Indra, Chandra, etc. By such endeavor, the worshippers of different demigods are certainly purified of the contamination of the lower qualities of nature and thereby elevated to the higher planet system or heavenly planets known as Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, etc. Once situated on those higher planetary system, one can satisfy his senses hundreds of thousands of times better than on this planet. So it is talking about how by reaching the higher planet system, your sense gratification can be increased, because that planets there are ample opportunity for sense gratification. So usually I had one question in my home, like when I was young, and so at home you'll find many photos, right? It is common in all Indian houses. So there'll be many deities, like varieties of deities, like devtas will be there, like Indra, Chandra. Indra may not be there, some Surya Dev will be there, some Ganpati will be there, some Shiva will be there, some Vishnu will be there, and all photos and all will be there. And our simple technique will be like at least Aarti hona. We have to do some Aarti morning, evening. So I used to wonder that, okay, and we used to see many serials those days, Shiv Puran, and many things used to come, Vishnu Puran. And in each, there's a different Devta is glorified. Like in Shiv Puran, Lord Shiva is glorified. Some demons will do some yagnas, some asuras will do some tapasyas, and they will achieve some benedictions. So young will also desire, okay, we should also do some tapasya. Should sit in this erect position. But we'll find that asuras is always killed by that same devtas or something. And even there's a Krishna story where we see many asuras, they do some tapasya, they do tapasya to please Brahma. And so the question comes, how do we understand who is the Supreme Lord? Who is the ultimate truth? Who is the absolute truth? This becomes very confusing to understand many times. So this is very nicely answered in Srimad Bhagavatam. So it talks about two things, the conception of God and the conception of absolute truth. So conception of God indicates controller. Just like in big company, take example of some Microsoft or something. So there's a one big top leader, or he's a one who owns the company. Under him there are many controllers, like there are CEOs. Under CEOs there are many directors. Under directors there are many managers. Under managers there are many employees. So this controller, it's called, even in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, they call it as Ishvara. So this Ishvara term means controller. So it is designating to this directors, CEOs. So there is one more term which is used, the conception of God and the conception of absolute truth. The word absolute truth. It is translated as Roman literature, Roman nomenclature. It's called summum bonum. The summum bonum means is a source from everything is emanating. Is the ultimate, just like Prabhupada gives example. If you trace your father, your father, your father, your father, your father, ultimately you will reach one point. So this summum bonum, the absolute truth, is talking about that. And Bhagavatam describes it as Param Satyam, the source of all energies from whom everything is emanating. And it is called as Paramishwara. One is the Ishvara, the controller, who is managing things like many demigods. And many times we see that, no, our parents, if I ask my mom who is the supreme, then mom also will say everyone is equal. There's no supreme, because there is a fear factor in them that अरे कुछ बोलूँगा तो भगवान बुरा मान जाएगा जो भी देवता हैं सब बुरे मान जाएंगे, और कुछ मेरा, they'll feel like my prosperity, my Lakshmi will be gone, they'll displease them. So they think that sarva means everyone should be satisfied. So that idea is there in that. But Srimad Bhagavatam brings, or it hits onto the target of the absolute truth. So it is talking about the absolute truth, not the controller. So in that connection, there is a nice story in Krishna book, 89th chapter. I'll just tell that story. So this same dilemma had in the same questions was asked in an assembly of sages. So in this long back is a history. In the bank of river Saraswati. So there's a Saraswati river which flows in the Himalayan side. It's like higher. Now it's not visible in the. You'll find it, but it's very rare. In Himalayan mountains, you'll find that Saraswati river. And in that river, near the bank of that river, there was an assembly of great sages. All the sages had assembled there. And there was a discussion, like we are having now discussion. So there was a discussion. And the discussion was to find out who is the predominating deities. Like many times we have confusion. Who is predominating deities? Like Lord Shiva is great, or Brahma is great, or Lord Vishnu is great. So in that assembly, this question was raised. The sages had asked this question, and all the sages, they had discussion, and they came to conclusion that okay, let us assign one devotee or someone who can find out that. So Bhrigu Muni, all of you are aware of that. Bhrigu Muni was assigned this task to find out who is the greatest. So I'll just read this chapter. After much discussion on this question, the great sage named Bhrigu, the son of Lord Brahma, was deputed to test all. So he was deputed to test all three predominating deities and report the assembly to who is the greatest. So they had some testing criteria, like we have in lab, some criteria are there. So the criteria was, among three, who has the highest goodness, who is high in Satoguna. So there are three predominating deities like Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Now the question is, who is highest in goodness? So Bhrigu Muni began his duty. He started his duty because that task was assigned to him. So the Bhrigu Muni first of all went to his father's. He went to his father's residence. It's at Brahmaloka. So Bhrigu Muni's father is Brahmaji. So he went there. So when he entered that place, so he went to Brahma's place. So we see Brahma with old dadis and all, but it's not the case. Brahma is little young, and so he went there, and he did not offer respect to him. Usually it's a tradition where son, if he goes to visit his father or his spiritual master, he should offer dandavats, or he should fall flat or touch his feet. Something should be done. So Brahma became very agitated. He became very angry. That what type of culture he is? He has not learned any culture. He's a sage, and how can he do this? So he was about to curse him. But due to his higher intelligence, Brahma controlled himself, because he is my son. How can I curse him? So in that way, he somehow calmed down, and Bhrigu Muni went. So here you can see Bhrigu Muni is offending his father by mind. He did not do anything. He just went there and stood. He did not do any action. So this is an offense by mind, within the mind. So next, he went to Lord Shiva. He went to Kailasha in the mountain. So Lord Shiva is a son of Brahma, and Bhrigu Muni is his younger brother. So Lord Shiva was seated in meditation when he went to Kailasha, and when he saw from far distance that his brother is coming, so Lord Shiva became very happy and jubilant. Obviously, his younger brother is coming, so he ran and he was supposed to hug him. Then he told, "Stop." Bhrigu Muni told him, "Stop." And he told that you are always impure. Your body is filled with ashes. Usually Lord Shiva puts his body with ashes and all. And he told, you're very dirty, and all he offended with words, with speech. Lord Shiva became very angry. The third eye opened and is about to kill him. But Mother Parvati saves the situation. Mother Parvati, she falls flat at the feet of Lord Shiva and requesting him that he is your brother. Please don't do that. So he's about to kill with his trident, but Mother Parvati somehow saves the situation, and he leaves that place. And at last, he goes to. So this is the offense by speech. The first offense is by mind, and the second is by speech. Is just scolding him that you are impure, you are filled with ash, you stay in dirty places and all. And the last, he goes to Shvetodipa. This is a place where Lord Vishnu resides. He goes there. So once he goes there, is a Vaikuntha planet. So he immediately kicks Lord Vishnu's chest. He goes and he kicks. Bhrigu Muni goes and kicks Lord Vishnu. Immediately Lord Vishnu wakes up, and he just there's an interesting conversation goes on. So he just holds his leg and he requests, sorry, you're such a great sage and you have come to Vaikuntha, and by your presence this Vaikuntha is also purified. So Lord Vishnu somehow glorifies and somehow pacifies him, and even he massages his leg. And there's a further incident which Prabhupada explains in the Krishna book, that Lakshmi became Mother Lakshmi becomes little disturbed. How can somebody hit in his chest near the presence of her wife? So that's the reason Prabhupada explains that Brahmanas are little poor. They don't have money. They are like a beggar because Mother Lakshmi's favor is very less on them. So Lord Vishnu somehow pacifies him and glorifies him, that Brahmana, Bhrigu Muni. And Bhrigu Muni is just speechless because he thought is a complete opposite. So Bhrigu Muni first he did offense by mind, within his mind. Even we do, no? Somebody curses him or scolds him. If you are not in the position to retaliate or something like police officer or some big officer, then we in mind only we curse him, let him go, let him die. So, and the second one is in words he starts scolding him, like verbal talk he does with Lord Shiva. And the last he does the severe one, he kicks him to Lord Vishnu. But here you'll see the goodness, which is the criteria for checking whether who is the predominating deities. So then this Bhrigu Muni silently he goes, because he gets that information what he was deputed to do task. He got that all information, and he goes to the same place where all the sages had assembled in the bank of river Saraswati. And there he describes all these incidents, what has happened. He narrates the same story towards all the sages, and sages come to the beautiful conclusion. So I'll read that part. After testing Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, Bhrigu Muni returned to the assembly of great sages on the bank of river Saraswati, described his experience. After hearing him with great attention, The sages concluded that of all the predominating deities, Lord Vishnu is certainly the greatest. So they came to the conclusion that Lord Vishnu is the greatest. Why? Because he was having the highest mode of goodness. Then further it describes Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Vishnu. The sages concluded that Lord Vishnu is the supreme truth, the personality of Godhead. It is said in the Bhagavatam that after hearing the detail from Bhurgu Muni, the sages were astonished because although Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva were immediately agitated, so immediately they got agitated. Lord Vishnu, in spite of being kicked by Bhrigu Muni, was not agitated in at least. The example is given. So there is an example like tolerance. There is an example which is given in just like a candle. Small breeze also can disturb that, whereas sun, which is like a biggest candle, even a hurricane cannot disturb that. So here they say that the example is given that small lamp may be agitated by slight breeze, but the greatest lamp or the greatest illuminating source, the sun, is never moved, even by the greatest hurricane. One's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situation. This is what we have to learn. Our ability will be tested when we are put in a situation where we are provoking situations, where we are getting fully agitated. Now question comes, how much we tolerate? Then we can understand, okay, I'm advanced or I'm not advanced. So this tolerance is the most important aspect which we can learn. That is possessed by Lord Vishnu at the highest degree. The sages gathered on the bank of river Saraswati concluded that one who wants actual peace and freedom from all fear should take shelter of lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Since Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva lost their peaceful attitude upon slight provocation, now how can they maintain peace and tranquility of their devotees? As far as Lord Vishnu, however, it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who accepts Lord Vishnu or Krishna as the supreme friend attains highest perfection of peaceful life. Even it is said, Bhuktaram Yagna Tapasa Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suradam Sarvam Bhutana Gyatva Mam Shanti Richate. If we want peace, then we have to worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is the Bhuktaram Yagna Tapasa, who is the ultimate proprietor of all the sacrifices. And further it explains about that same concept. So that's the reason it is described Bhagavatam like the absolute truth. Even further it is explains that I want to complete that process, that absolute truth is a person, is not impersonal. Like this modern government, you see, like American democratic government, it may look like impersonal, its activities. Like if you see how things are moving, is very tough to understand. It's so much complex. But the head of the institute or the head of the state or the head of this country or person. So Bhagavatam brings that the supreme personality of Godhead is a sentient being. He's not impersonal or some void or some like impersonal. We call it as something different. So that is very nicely explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. So at conclusion, we spoke about the Vedas. We spoke about 3 Vedis, who are the knower of the Vedas, and their goal is to go to higher planetary system, especially to Surendra Lokam, to Indra Loka, where they can enjoy unlimited. Means there is a time period of 10,000 years. All the happiness or the standard of living is very high there. And we spoke about the age of Kali, how these Vedas are divided into 4 divisions like Sama, Yajur, Rig and Atharva Vedas, how Vyasadeva divided the Vedas into 4 divisions so that all the people in general can take advantage of that. And the essence of all Vedic literature is Srimad Bhagavatam. That's very nicely explained by Vyasadeva. And that was brought by, or by the instruction of Narada Muni, Vyasdev compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam contains glorification of Lord Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there it talks about the absolute truth, and the difference is, we talked about the controller and the absolute truth. The controllers are like different departmental head, like directors, CEOs, whereas the absolute truth is the fountainhead, is the summum bonum, is like he is the one who has created that company, like Microsoft and Bill Gates, like that. And then we spoke about Deva Bhogan, the standard of living in the higher planet system, and we spoke about that Somapa. So in the heavenly planets, there's a particular type of beverages. It's called Soma juice, Soma rasa they call it as in. So anyone drinks that, he can be purified, or so that is that I spoke. And we had a we spoke about three ways the Vedas come to a conclusion, where there are three ways we can understand the Supreme Lord: Sambandha Jnana, Abhidya, and Prayojana. Sambandha is that establishing our relationship, lost relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Abhidya is a process, like Acharyas, they give process. Usually it's very tough to come in touch with the pure devotees, because we are getting unlimited different types of understandings, and we get caught up in that understanding, and to break that understanding is tough. And if we are fortunate, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasrishu kachit edadi siddhaye. So out of thousands of men, few may get chance to come in touch with a pure devotee. If once we are come in touch with pure devotees, they give some process, and that process, if we follow very strictly, very disciplined way, then we can advance more and more in spiritual life. So, and the final goal is prayojana. We talked about prema, the love of Godhead. And once we achieve that, we do all things. It's like Uttama Bhagavata platform, or the highest devotees platform, where he sees everything in relationship with the Supreme Lord. Yeah. Any questions or any comment? Yeah. So I'll stop here. Hari Krishna. Hari Krishna.